What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another match review stream, but not only a match review stream, it is transfer deadline day today, people. Happy transfer deadline day. And I hope you're all having a good day out there, unless your name is Neil MAUPAY, that absolute shithouse yesterday. He got found out yesterday, you know. You don't just come and try and troll Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium doing the James Maddison celebration. You know, Saka tried it at the Emirates and got found out, and MAUPAY got found out yesterday. So I think that's going to make people think twice about trying to troll James Maddison, that's for sure.
Well,
but
Johnson said, not in our home.
Exactly, not in our home. Got found out yesterday, but I absolutely loved that yesterday. You know, MAUPAY just riled up the whole of the Spurs team, didn't he? And he definitely found out what it is to come to Tottenham. But look, we've got some transfer news to talk about for transfer deadline day. We do anticipate it being a fairly quiet day, to be honest. But let's get in.
Never know. You never know with Tottenham.
Well, if you
never say never.
Yeah, exactly. Ask Brian Daigle. He's a Van der Vaart style signing is coming today. It's coming, but not of that quality. But let's talk about the potential transfers, because the window does slam shut tonight at 11 o'clock, and there is a few talking points to get through. So we'll start off with a potential incoming, which is Lucas Bergvall, the Swedish wonder kid. Bit of a tug of war going on with Barcelona and Tottenham at the moment. Fabrizio Romano said yesterday that Tottenham are trying to hijack Lucas Bergvall's transfer. They're calling him every hour to try and convince him. Barca are confident, but still awaiting the final green light on the player side. Dan Kilpatrick says that Spurs are waiting on Lucas Bergvall to decide between them and Barcelona, but a deal does not necessarily have to be agreed today. Spurs have agreed a deal with Djurgården worth around £8.5 million in the summer, so there is no pressure for a decision today. Tom Barkley says that Tottenham are expecting Bergvall to sign for Barcelona, but they are waiting in the wings in case he decides otherwise. Mundo Deportivo says that Bergvall has yet to give Barcelona a definitive answer. This is because Tottenham are pressing to sign him and are offering him a spot in the first team. And a publication in Sweden called Football Direct says that Dejan Kulusevski has been acting as Tottenham's ambassador to convince Bergvall to join Spurs. The situation is currently 50-50 between Spurs and Barca, and Tottenham have been working on the deal for several weeks. And apparently that publication also said that Kulusevski was in the transfer meeting last week between Bergvall and Spurs. So very interesting developments there. Obviously, he's a 17-year-old, but that report saying they're offering him a first-team spot. Do you believe that?
I mean, it's hard to believe considering he's 17 and we've got a lot of midfielders at the moment. I don't know what. Maybe if Skip and Højbjerg are leaving, like, is he the one to come in and perform that role as like a squad player in terms of in central midfield? I'd be very surprised, but you look, if you're ready, then age doesn't really matter. I guess Ange's going to give you that. He's going to give you chances if he feels like you're ready to play. So I don't completely rule it out. We've already seen, haven't we? Barcelona themselves are a perfect example. Look at Gavi and Pedri. Didn't they start playing regularly at similar ages?
Gavi and Pedri. Look at Yamal.
Lamine Yamal, exactly, playing right now at 16 on the wings. So I think that's a perfect example of players these days maybe being already at younger ages. I don't think it's like a massive trend, but maybe if he's ready to make that step up, then he could do it.
And I guess he has already made his debut for the Swedish national team as well.
Yeah. In terms of whether he chooses Tottenham or Barca, do you reckon maybe he's looking at Barca and thinking, with Gavi and Pedri there, they're still so young. Like, are they even 20 yet? Or maybe they're early, like just turned 20. Like, how long will he have to wait to become a regular starter there? Maybe he's thinking if he goes to Tottenham, maybe there's going to be more opportunities. I don't know. Obviously, we've got a young team. We're playing good football at the moment. Barca, obviously, they're giving young players a chance. That's clear. Are they in a bit of a mess right now? Xavi is looking to leave. Maybe Tottenham's more of a stable project he's looking at. I'd obviously be very excited if he was to come in. I've been looking into him and the kind of player he is and how early he's been developing. He seems to be a real star in the making. Obviously, at 17, you never really know where a player is headed, but Tottenham seem absolutely desperate to get him in, don't they? They're looking to pull all the tricks in the book to try and get him in. There are reports that we've agreed a deal, isn't it, already with the club?
8.5 million.
So if they're going that far, maybe they really believe there's a chance we can hijack it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because, let's be real. Barca are not the club that they used to. Well, not the. They're obviously a ginormous club, but they're not kind of where they're at, where they should be as a football club, Barcelona. And Spurs are growing. It's a good place for young players to come and flourish here at Spurs. Albeit, I would say it's still a good place for Barcelona with the young players to flourish, like the players that you did mention. But I do feel like if you do want to get your big move to Barcelona, like coming to Spurs at the age of 17, you've still got the rest of your career to kind of follow on that trajectory, don't you? So it will be interesting. I think Kulusevski could be a major kind of factor in this deal where he can come see a familiar face. Dejan Kulusevski obviously knows him. He's been in a part of a same squad as him at least once. And it's a friendly face to kind of immerse yourself with. So I do see a lot of reasons why Bergvall would kind of join Spurs over Barcelona. We've seen players like Radu Dragushin already reject Bayern Munich to come to Tottenham Hotspur. So why not Bergvall for rejecting Barcelona to come to Tottenham?
There's also one interesting element of it, though, is like once you go to Barcelona and once you have Barca on your CV, it kind of stays with you in a positive way. I mean, like how many players have you heard like, oh, you used to play for Barcelona, and they're like, that's a term to like get them people excited to sign you, and even people have a look at you just because you played for them.
Well, so that's why we signed Emerson Royale.
Pretty much. Like I mean, like there's a lot of players they get moves based on the fact, oh, they used to play for Barcelona, and then and it gets fans excited just on that fact. So he could think about it that way and think, if I get Barca on my CV, that's going to set me up for better in the future. So maybe that's the element of you looking at it, but let's hope Tottenham can sell their project better.
Yeah. Let's move on and talk about some potential outgoings from now until 11 p.m. tonight. We'll start off with Brian Hill. Dan Kilpatrick says that Brighton and Hove Albion continue to push for a loan deal for Brian Hill today, but no guarantee the winger will leave Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs are happy to let Hill go on a straight loan to Brighton, but the Spaniard will need some persuading to accept them. And a publication out in Holland, 1908 NL, says that Feyenoord are making a new attempt to bring Tottenham winger Brian Hill to the club on loan. And this is just the same story with Brian Hill over and over again. How many transfer deadline days have we sat here talking about Brian Hill?
Well, what do you always say about him? He's always the last thought of this football club.
And it's true.
And it's the same thing. Case in point. Deadline day looks like maybe something will happen. It was interesting. He was in the squad yesterday, but obviously didn't come off the bench. Donnelly was used ahead of him. So maybe that's an indication of where his standing is at the moment. Was Stoneman set to be coming back imminently? Vern is obviously playing very well at the moment on the left-hand side. Son's going to come back from the Asia Cup. How many opportunities will there be for him? How many opportunities will there be for him? Look, we only have 16 games left till the end of the season. So there's really not going to be a lot of game time for him at Tottenham. As much as I think I reckon he likes playing under Ange. I reckon he likes Ange ball, and I think he feels like he might suit it. But at the end of the day, he's just down the pecking order, and he hasn't done enough in his cameo appearances to really earn that spot. So I would love him to go to Brighton and see what he can do there. I think if I was him, I wouldn't go to Feyenoord. I would go to Brighton, where he can test himself at a high level, and if he really performs in the Premier League, that hopefully will give a queue of suitors come the summer, even maybe Brighton themselves, to take him on permanently, and that can show what he can do in the Premier League. If he goes to Feyenoord, even if he does well, is it really convincing anyone? I don't know. So, or you could argue, look, go to Feyenoord, plays week in, week out, will help his development. But how old is he now? 23 now? Like this isn't like a proper youngster anymore. It's a player who needs to be playing regularly at top level. So I hope Brighton get over the line. I hope we agree a deal with them. And I think that'd be a great move for him.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for him to get a lot of minutes at Brighton at the moment with the amount of wingers that they have out injured at the moment. Solly March as well, injured to the end of the season. Ansu Fati out. Dingra, he'll be coming back from the AFCON soon, if not back already. But there is opportunities there at Brighton for him. So I think he should look at that Brighton move as a real opportunity to say, if I want to stay in the Premier League, go there, get some minutes, show what he's about on a consistent basis, and before these injured players start coming back, maybe he can put a footprint, a stronghold into that team and start, fighting for that spot. So I think that's a good opportunity for him. So I think he should take it with open arms, to be honest, because Spurs clearly don't value him as much as he thinks that he should be getting game time.
And they're still in Europa League, aren't they, Brighton?
Brighton are still in the Europa League as well, yeah.
So good game time there as well.
So look, I think it's a good move for him. And I've always said that I think that he's got really good technical ability, and I really believed in his talent and his ability, but it's just not happening for him at Tottenham. So with the amount of players above him in the pecking order, it's going to take for another crazy kind of injury spree at Spurs for him to get any look in. So
if we had more games, maybe there's a case to keep him, but like with literally 16 games, we're only Premier League, there's just going to be no time.
Yeah, and with Son coming back and Werner there now, and Solomon still there as well, so it just doesn't look likely for Bryan Hill to ever succeed at Tottenham, to be honest. But the only way I see him actually succeeding, if he goes to Brighton and smashes it out there, that's the only way.
Yeah, then maybe we have to take a second look at it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Alejo Veliz now. This is an interesting one. David Ornstein broke last night saying Tottenham have tonight received an offer from Sevilla to sign Alejo Veliz. The proposal for the 20-year-old Argentina youth striker is a straight loan with no option to buy. Spurs will make a decision on deadline day whether to sanction. And then today, Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham forward Alejo Veliz is travelling to Seville to complete a straight loan move until the end of the season. And Fabrizio Romano says that Alejo Veliz has the green light from Spurs to complete Sevilla loan move. There are still details to clarify. It's up to Sevilla now. Loan does not include an option to buy. Sevilla are on it. And Alonso Riviera, a Spanish journalist, says that Sevilla plan to carry out an exhaustive medical check on Alejo Veliz, given that he got injured on the 31st of December and hasn't played for Tottenham since. If the results of the examinations are satisfactory, the deal should be completed today. A really good opportunity for Veliz. Apparently he's been given assurances of playing time as well, which is very positive, because if he hasn't got given those assurances, there's probably no point of him going, to be honest. In terms of, does it leave us a bit short in the front line? Probably not, because we don't have that many games, like you said.
And
but
Scarlett as well, there's come
with
back.
Scarlett, exactly. Scarlett is back, but don't know. Is Scarlett, like, if Alejo did stay, for argument's sake, is Scarlett above him in the pecking order?
Probably not, but I don't think there's much in it. So if there's an opportunity to get Veliz on a loan deal, knowing we have Scarlett there, and even Scarlett, how much game time is he going to get anyway when Son comes back? You have Rishi, and even Werner can play up front as well now. So
it's frustrating though for Alejo, isn't it? Because just before that injury, he was just starting to announce himself, and he was just starting to get some minutes. Got that goal at Brighton. I thought the cameos that were all positive from Alejo. I like what he's about, to be honest. And then Werner comes in, he falls a bit further down the pecking order. Dane Scarlett comes back. There's more competition. So I think this loan move to Sevilla is probably really positive for him.
I think it's a fantastic opportunity to play top level European football, hopefully get some regular minutes. I was looking into Sevilla's squad. Obviously they're not doing very well at the minute, but Rafa Mir is one of their two strikers. They got him, and they've got Yusuf El-Nesri, obviously, who's at the AFCON at the moment. Well, they just got knocked out, so he's probably coming back. But Rafa Mir apparently is on his way to Valencia, so he's about to leave. So that leaves a spot for Veliz to hopefully get some minutes, either back up to El-Nesri, or maybe even in games, maybe partnering him, or even ahead of him if El-Nesri isn't banging in the goal. So I think there's an opportunity there. I don't think it's the easiest environment, because Sevilla's a big club, but they're a big club not doing very well at the moment. So there's going to be a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of angry fans. If he doesn't come in and do well, there's going to be a lot of people on his back. But obviously, it's obviously right not to put an option to buy, because he's only been here 6 months and we only just bought him. So you don't want to let him go right now. But if he's there playing regularly, it'll be very, very interesting to see how he gets on. Because if he starts regularly and actually makes an impact, then all of a sudden he becomes an option for us next season to really use as a backup striker potentially. But as you say, that injury, it looked like quite a serious one, and that knee injury that he picked up. Obviously, he stayed on. It was a Bournemouth game where he hobbled. He stayed on because we had used all our subs, and maybe he aggravated that injury even worse. So hopefully that decision doesn't scupper a move to Sevilla for him, because he was set to be out for 2 months. I can't remember when that game was. It was right at the end of December, wasn't it?
31st December, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a month already. He was set to be out for 2 months. So
and he's on the grass already.
Okay, so hopefully if he's out for only another couple of weeks, it's doable. If he's out for another month, do they do it? If he's only back in March, I don't know. That's a question mark. So hopefully that injury isn't as bad as first feared. Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see in terms of the medical later today. I'm sure we'll get some news at some point during the day. But also with with the Alejo Veliz, it'll be really good for him to share like a dressing room with players like Sergio Ramos with that elite mentality, and Eric Lamela will be there as well.
And Nanyanazai.
And Adnan Januzaj, all the great players. But yeah, Eric Lamela, not only does he have that, he's Argentinian compatriot, but he's got that fire in his belly, and he also has that love for Tottenham as well.
He'll look after him, I think.
That's for sure.
He'll show him how to get a yellow card as well.
Yeah. We've got him and Ramos.
Yeah,
like literally.
He's going to come back and he's going to be getting cards left, right, and centre.
Let's talk about Luka Vuskovic now. David Ornstein said yesterday, or today even, Tottenham prospect Luka Vuskovic is set to join Polish club Radomiak Radom on loan from Hajduk Split. Done by Hajduk to give 16-year-old defender regular starts until the summer, when expected to be loaned out to a higher level before he joins Tottenham in 2025. Fabrizio Romano says that future Tottenham player Luka Vuskovic has completed his move to Polish side Radomiak Radom on loan from Hajduk Split. Luka Vuskovic is a key part of Tottenham Hotspur's future plans. Obviously, he's only 16 years of age, so for him to go anywhere really and get first team football week in, week out is going to be a massive plus. It is a higher level than the Croatian league apparently out in Poland, so it is positive. In terms of why he's not joining Spurs, because he's only 16 and he's not allowed to till he's 18. That's why he's going to have a few loans before he joins Spurs.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come into Tottenham and be playing first team football anytime soon anyway. I'm pretty sure the transfer was only till 2025, isn't it? I think that's when he joins.
That's when it starts, yeah.
Yeah, that's when it starts. So we can't bring him in. I think they announced the deal today or yesterday anyway, the club, the loan club. So that has happened. And I think that's great. And hopefully it aids his development, because this is a 16-year-old centre-back who's been playing some games for Hajduk Split even at 16 and apparently getting rave reviews. Big unit for his age as well. So the more minutes he plays, that's only going to help his development. So really, really great news. And I'm glad that these things are being thought about ahead of time, planning for the future in terms of not just signing a player, but aiding their development, looking at where they're going. And I'm sure Spurs had a say at where he's going as well. I'm sure there was conversations with Hajduk Split about where he was going on loan. So I think it's brilliant news.
It's really good, like the planning at Tottenham at the moment. It's like better than it's ever been before. Not only are we looking for like the talents of tomorrow, we're also looking at the talents of today. You know, the Dragusins coming in, Timo Werner coming in on loan, who's really started life at Spurs well.
Dragusins moved from Madrid to Madrid. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Like we're thinking of everything at the moment, Tottenham. And I can't remember a better time like of planning at this football club. Usually we're either like thinking in one way or the other, never both ways at the same time, which is crazy.
And that's what we need to do for a long time. And that's what's held us back, a lack of planning, a lack of long-term thinking. And now we're getting there.
Let's finish off talking about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. There were a few rumours that he could potentially be leaving by the end of the transfer window, but his lawyer came out yesterday and said he ain't leaving, and he's confirmed that as well today with an interview with Charlie Eccleshare. It says Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has confirmed in an interview with Charlie Eccleshare that he'll be staying at Spurs for the rest of the season. There are a few quotes from him as well, and he says, I definitely feel I can help the team. The key is that we are playing for something. I always said in the past, like I say now, what drives me is the purpose of fighting for something, and I definitely feel that Tottenham is fighting for something. I'm enjoying the football. You have to stay steady and you have to be aware at all times, because we are playing very aggressive and front-footed football, so it's definitely something that is keeping you alive. It's nice. And I thought he came on and really helped the team yesterday as well.
Yeah, I thought so. I think he's been having a good season. I don't think he's really been bad. We know the flaws in Højbjerg. It's no secret. Everyone knows that he's definitely upgradable in terms of how we want to play under Ange. But that's not to say that he hasn't played a role this season, especially coming off the bench, helping out seeing games when he has had to start. More often than not, he's done a good job. Obviously, there have been games where he's not been as good, but we know that could happen with Højbjerg. I think the whole interview thing, maybe it's a bit of PR just to make sure that the fans all believe that he's still on side. He's not like desperate to leave, all that kind of stuff. I do think if the opportunity came about this window, he would have left. I think it's more about there was no opportunity, no club he really fancied going to in the window, and he thought, look, if I wait till the summer, there'll probably be more offers on the table, probably somewhere I more want to go, somewhere that's beneficial for me more. So I think that's probably why he's coming out now on deadline day and just saying, look, I'm staying, want to fight for Tottenham, all this kind of stuff. And as well, it's not like he hasn't been playing. I think I think apart from maybe a couple of games, I think he's actually played in every game in terms of either off the bench or starting. So it's not like he's not being used at all. So from that element, he's probably just content from now to the end of the season. He'll just stay here. Maybe you can fight for something big, who knows? And then next season, he can go somewhere where he's a regular starter.
And regardless what he gives us as a player, we all know the mentality of what he is. He's a fighter. We called him the Viking warrior for a reason. You know, his mentality in terms of whenever he's on the pitch, he always gives 100%. And, you know, there's been rumours of him leaving for what? Half a year now, since last summer, and he's never given less than 100%. So to have players like that for the cause that can just come in off the bench from now to the end of the season, I think is only a positive thing.
I agree, and we're a young team, and sometimes you need a mature, calm head like Højbjerg to come on and calm things down. I think that's maybe what he did yesterday. Maybe he saw that. Maybe that's part of the reason he brought Højbjerg on, not just because we needed a bit more bite, but because, you know, the players were getting wound up, everyone was like focusing on different things, and maybe you just needed someone like Højbjerg on the pitch just to get everyone to focus on the job in hand again and make sure that we're doing things right on the pitch. And I think he helped with that.
Agreed. But that is your Tottenham update. Probably the first update, shall I say, of transfer deadline day. We'll keep you updated with any sort of developments that do come across us throughout the day. But I don't expect it to be a busy day. At what time do you reckon we get that Ali Gold tweet today?
I think it probably
Ali Gold bingo, come on.
It probably goes without saying, I would say. Ali Gold this window.
What are you telling me we're not all on tenterhooks for Bergville?
Well, look. Dan Kilpatrick said it doesn't even have to be done in this window.
It's true.
So I don't even know if that we have to be waiting on that one even.
Yeah. All right, well, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts around any of the news stories we brought to you today. Yeah, as you can see, the chat today in the live chat is just kind of very much MAUPAY. Everyone's just talking about MAUPAY. What Definitely. An idiot yesterday. What an idiot.
He went early, he admitted it.
Like, you come to Tottenham, you go 1-0 up. What was it? 20 minutes gone? 25 minutes gone? And you do that in front of the South Stand. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
It was stupid things to do. Obviously, we know MAUPAY is a king shithouse, isn't he? He that's what he loves. That's what he thrives on.
That's all he's good at.
Yeah, pretty much. But look, he did it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because Madison was returning. I don't know why he had to copy Madison's celebration. I don't know if they've had words before or something. I don't know if they ever played together before. I can't think of a time. I don't know why he went for it. He just decided to do it. But in a way, it was a bit of a trigger. I know in the first half you could argue it definitely worked, and Tottenham definitely were getting riled up, and we were probably getting involved in too many situations where we stopped focusing on playing our football and we're getting too distracted by all those situations. But you can see they were riled up by it in the second half, and we made them pay. Yeah.
I could kind of understood like why Saka did it, because him and Maddison are teammates in England. They kind of banter each other, don't they, on videos that we've seen that England put out. But I completely agree. I mean, Neil MAUPAY had no right at all to do what he did yesterday, and he got found out after doing it as well, and it kind of proved itself. But let's get into the match review. Are we ready for that? Let's get into the match review from yesterday. Obviously, we won 3-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday at the hands of Brentford. And I thought the game started well. First 10 minutes, it looked like we came out with a bit of a point to prove after getting knocked out of the FA Cup last week with a whimper, really, against Man City. And I thought we were in for a really good performance after those first 10 minutes. And then we kind of just like reverted back into our shells a little bit, and we got put under pressure by Brentford. They were trying to get under our skins. You could see they had a clear plan from the first minute just to try and rough us up a little bit. You know, they were putting in hard challenges. They could have potentially had a sending off yesterday. I mean, Norgard was just completely making foul after foul. Ivan Toney made 3 fouls in the first 5 minutes. Jensen was making fouls as well. And I think it worked, to be honest, for the first half, because we just couldn't get in our rhythm. We couldn't really get going. And I thought Brentford definitely had the better of it in the first half. They got that goal and potentially could have had more as well. Yeah, I think there's a case of Tottenham really looking to unsettle them early doors, really go at them, try and get that early goal, because you know if you go 1-0 up against a team like Brentford, it kind of ruins their game plan a bit. They have to maybe come out their shells a bit earlier than they want to, and it completely
they have to stop playing in that deep block, and I think that's what we tried to do, and we made a good fist of it in the first 10 minutes. But I think it kind of changed. If you remember, they got that offside goal, which they split right through the centre of us. Luckily for us, even though Roslev fired it home, it was just about offside. But that was a warning sign, and maybe that moment kind of unsettled Tottenham. It was like, okay, they can clearly counterpunch us if we're not on our game, and we're leaving too much space. Maybe it made us less kind of sharp going forward. It made us think twice about throwing too much caution to the wind. And I think Brentford maybe smelt blood a bit and took advantage of that. Obviously, the first goal, Udogie makes a horrific mistake. Watching it back, he tries
just a lazy pass.
Yeah, he tries to play a simple pass to Bentancur. It's just completely inaccurate. Really, really poor from him. And obviously, Brentford spring on us. Tony's played onside by Romero, who's caught deep, but obviously he's caught out of position because Udogie gives it away. Romero then doesn't close Tony down. He decides to bank on the fact that Vicario saved the shot, and he decides to mark MAUPAY. He does save the shot, Vicario, but I was a bit disappointed with Romero looking back at the goal is he doesn't react quick enough to that shot being saved. He should be in a better position there, I feel. Obviously, it falls to MAUPAY. And actually, watching back, is it an own goal? Because MAUPAY kind of scuffs it, and I feel like it's more Romero putting it in than MAUPAY scoring. I mean, no one's given it as an own goal.
You're not going to give it because it was on target.
I don't know if it was. I think he completely scuffs the shot. I think it really just falls it off Romero, if anything.
I don't know. I think if Romero doesn't get that touch, I don't know if it's going to end up. I think it was on target.
I don't know if he gets a good enough effort on it. I've watched it back a few times, and I don't think he gets a good effort on that.
Interesting.
Maybe there was enough doubt to give it to him. But like Romero does get a challenge in, but I feel like he was on his heels a bit. Like if you're gonna avoid Tony and wait and go mark MAUPAY, you got to make sure he doesn't get the follow up, and he did.
No, I agree with you, and I gave Romero my man the match yesterday. And on kind of reflection, seeing that moment, I had to put him down a peg because I thought, look, you are completely right in what you're saying. Richarlison deserved man of the match yesterday, but Romero did not cover himself in that much glory towards that goal. He was caught high up the pitch with the bad pass from Udogie, but he's got to react quicker when Vicario makes that save. He has to,
because he put himself in a position where he was only marking MAUPAY. That's what he made his job to mark MAUPAY there. So if it falls to MAUPAY, he's got to take responsibility for that.
Agreed, completely agree. And MAUPAY gets the goal, and he kind of calls Tony over for the celebration. They both do that dart celebration, and
bit of afters there between him and Maddison.
Yeah, MAUPAY's walking back or running back to his own half, and Maddison just kind of engages him. And what did he say to him? He said in the interview, saying,
he said, you haven't got enough goals of your own to have your own celebration, so you had to take mine.
And then MAUPAY after the game, didn't he, Instagrammed or tweeted out saying, I've got more goals than you and less relegations than you, or something.
Yeah, a bit spiteful. Maybe a bit bitter that he lost the game. He also said rent-free as well, like a 12-year-old Twitter user saying rent-free. Honestly, these are supposed to be grown adults.
MAUPAY, the biggest shithouse. But I felt like from that goal as well, after that goal, we still couldn't find ourselves back in that game up until the start of the second half. First half, we had a bit of a lot of possession in that first half, but we weren't really doing much with it.
In fact, if you look at the stats, we had 73% possession in the first half. We actually had less in the second half, which goes to show maybe having more possession wasn't the goal, because I think Brentford were happy for the whole games we played in front of them. We were always trying to go through the central area. We weren't really finding Werner or Kulusevski out wide, in space anyway. Whenever we did find them, they were getting crowded out. The only moment really we might have got a goal, Werner had a bit of a daisy cutter shot which Flecken saved, but that was never likely to go in. Maddison looked completely out of sorts, to be honest. He looked a bit rusty. He just his touches were a bit off every time he had the ball.
as well, to be fair.
He gave the ball away. Bentancur, I agree. He looked off it. I think he was making a lot of fouls as well, Bentancur. It seemed off the pace a bit, just physically. The only one I thought in midfield who was actually, I had a lot of credit, who actually went off half-time, was Skip. I don't think he was amazing, but if I'm picking a midfielder on the pitch yesterday in that first half who came away with a bit of credit, was probably him. And I thought it was a bit harsh to take him off, but obviously it did work, so I can't complain. But it was a bit of a weird decision, considering he was probably our best midfielder. I wouldn't say he was incredible, but he was probably our best midfielder in that first half. But we did really struggle to hurt Brentford. I feel like we kept swinging in crosses, high crosses, and it was like Richarlison up against three Brentford centre-backs, and they were just eating out for dinner every time. They were finding it easy to defend against. I felt like they wanted us to go central, because they just knew that they had 3 defensive mids there, they had 3 centre backs, and they even had the 2 strikers as well central. So all their concentration was there. So it was very, very difficult for us to kind of pick that lock, and we weren't moving the ball very quickly. And what was disappointing as well is if it's going to be difficult to kind of pick the lock there and get those combinations going, you've got to maybe have a few shots. And obviously that's where we nearly got a goal. Richarlison had a great effort on the edge of the box and whiskered wide. It hit the stanchion.
As well.
Werner had that. Those were our best moments. So we maybe could have done that a bit more in the first half. But yeah, I think Brentford did a great job on us. You have to say they were hitting us on the counter. They had a good from set pieces as well. They're looking dangerous. Remember there was a corner which they fired it at Vicario, and he clawed it. He struggled to punch it away. Obviously they had the header from Tony from a set piece as well, which he saved. So they were doing a really good job on us, and I think going into half time, Brentford were definitely feeling like this game is the plan's going to perfection, basically.
Yeah, I remember talking to you and a few other people at half time, and I'm just like, there's just been nothing in it from Spurs so far. Apart from the first 10 minutes, we were just so poor. And everyone that I was speaking to, I kind of was like picking out Ollie Skip as probably our best performer in that first half. And I was so shocked when he took him off. I remember saying to you, walking back up to the seat at half time, like, why the hell is he taking off Ollie Skip? Like, he's been one of our better players. But Ange clearly saw loads of problems in that first half. He makes 2 changes at half time. Skip goes off, Bentancur goes off, and Brennan Johnson and Højbjerg come on. And those first 10 minutes, we won the game in those first 10 minutes of the second half. We absolutely blew them away. Kulusevski moved back into the middle, which I didn't think he had a great game yesterday, to be fair. But it was all about Timo Werner in the first 10 minutes of that second half. He was like a steam train at times. He was involved in 2 of the goals, passed it to Destiny Udogie for the first one. Udogie gets a bit of a ricochet and ends up 1-on-1 and slots it home. But I thought that was clearly the plan for Timo Werner since he's joined Spurs, is to get in these kind of moments, to get in these kind of positions time and time again and grab those assists.
And get it to him early.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. I felt like we had, again, in the first half, we had opportunities to just get it to him straight away and allow him to run the defender, but we again neglected to do it and decided to slow the game down. But that was the crucial point about that second half. We just got it to Werner as soon as possible, and Brentford were actually pushing quite high early in that second half. Maybe they felt like they smelt blood. Maybe they felt like if they pressed us high, they can nick a second goal and go 2-0 up.
That was their first mistake of the game.
Yeah, and what happened was they did do that, and we just fired it to Werner very, very early, and he attacked the space. It was funnily enough that first assist was very similar to the assist he gave to Bentancur. Really similar action. Gets to the byline quickly, but then has a bit of patience to cut inside, find Udogie with that pass. Does get a bit of luck because he takes a shot which isn't going anywhere, but it falls back to him. And
he should get the assist for that, by the way.
Werner. He should, because it was he makes the pass, but unfortunately because of ricochet back to Udogie, he's not going to get it. And then the second assist was absolutely brilliant. Actually, you have to give a lot of credit to Kulusevski for that assist, watching it back, because when he picks the ball up, it's a very difficult ball to control. He's got a defender on him, and he takes a beautiful touch to his left-hand side and then fires a very quick pass into Werner in a very instinctive move. And it was a really, really good moment. And then Werner, from that point, he still has a lot of work to do there. He's got a defender to beat. He holds him up, then goes again to the byline, and it's an inch perfect cross with his left foot as well. And beautiful.
I was so happy, not only for Werner, for Brennan Johnson as well, because he's come under so much stick, so much criticism. And he said after the game, he knows he hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been getting in the right areas, and that's the exact areas that he needs to be in. Back post, get there for the open goal, be at the right place at the right time. And it was great to see Brennan Johnson get on the score sheet.
Yeah, definitely. And I compare that goal. That's like what Raheem Sterling used to do so often for Man City. Just turn up at that back post, get those tap-ins. And when you got the pace of Brennan Johnson, like when you know the wing on the opposite side is going to get the cross and going to fire it low, you've got the pace to outrun any fullback and get in those positions. So that is what I want to see from Brennan Johnson. It's no coincidence both his goals for Tottenham have been that goal, running to the back post and getting a tap in. And he's with his pace, he's going to get so many goals like that if he keeps getting those positions. I think Sterling used to say in interviews I think I read from him, like those goals, he used to get 10 of those a season because he knows he's faster than anyone and he can get to the back post quicker than any defender. So Johnson has to learn from that, and that was a really big moment in the game. And obviously I thought bringing Johnson on, putting Kulu to the centre, it just gave us that bit more quality on the ball as well, gave us that bit more forward thinking, and as well, I think gave us a lot more width because Werner and Johnson really stretching the game, as opposed to maybe Kulu, who was cutting inside in the first half. That really helped to maybe open up the spaces a bit in that central area, which is where we were decisive. And then obviously we hit them with a third as well. Doggy again bursting in, and again, what I want to give credit to is Højbjerg for that moment, because Højbjerg is in the centre and it looked like he was going to do a switch of play straight to Werner, but he actually spots Udogie last second, plays a good pass into him, and then Udogie does really well to charge forward, find Maddison in the centre, which was actually, again, a good disguised pass, because I think the easier pass was out wide to Werner, but he spotted Maddison with a little run, and Maddison does really well, even though, again, scuff shot, but to move in those tight spaces and manoeuvre an opportunity for an effort was really impressive, and it fell to Richarlison.
Yeah, and obviously Richarlison, 7 goals in 8 games now. This is clearly a man on form, and it's not just the goals as well. He's impacting games throughout the whole game. He's got really good link-up play. He's making it stick at the moment. He never stops running. He puts such great energy into each and every single game at the moment, and he's one of our most consistent performers right now, which has got to be said. So all the Rishi haters are in the mud at the moment.
He's been brilliant, and what I love about him at the moment is something I've complained about for a long time with Rishi, is that his all-round game, he's doing the simple things really effectively, and that's so important in this kind of football. You know, when the ball gets fired into him, he's holding off the defender, he's making it sticky, he's bringing other players into play. That moment in the second half, I remember, he picks up the ball in the middle of the park and he takes it past 3 players and lays it off, gets the pass off as well, and sets us up on another attack. These things we weren't seeing from him, and I think we're seeing a Rishi right now full of confidence, really doing the right things as a forward player, who like making a nuisance of himself. He's really being difficult to deal with. I felt like at the beginning of the season, centre-backs loved playing against him because he couldn't control the ball. He couldn't
just bounced off him every time.
They were out-muscling him every time. And even if he did get a chance, you know, he wasn't taking it. But now we're seeing a different Rishi, completely full of confidence. He's being actually really difficult to deal with now for defenders. I think they hate playing against him when he's in this form. He never stops running as well. That's something that we know from his time at Everton, that he's a player who constantly presses, always in your face. And obviously now he's getting the goals, and as you say, and I think the goals his performances are deserving, and obviously a bit of a poacher's effort, but that's we know Rishi, right place, right time. He can be that kind of striker as well.
That's what we need from him. That's what we need from him, to be in the right place at the right time and do the really hard dogged work like he's doing throughout the game. And he's on course for his best season ever in the Premier League. So 8 goals already this season in the Premier League. I think, 8 goals. 13 is his best for Everton, I think it was. So he's well on track for that.
And also, I've noticed, not specifically Rishi, but I've noticed a bit of a pattern with Tottenham. Last few home games, apart from taking out the City game, if you're talking about just in the league, it's been games where we haven't been playing well, yet we've hit the opposition with quick spurts. Like Everton, we hit them twice, 2 quick goals, didn't we? Bournemouth, we were kind of, we were probably second best, and we hit them with 2 quick goals in the second half and ended up going 3-0 up. And now this game, again, not great, and we hit them with 3 quick goals in the second half. So I think that just goes to show, first of all, how much a difference the confidence makes in the team once we're getting on top, once we smell blood. And what Johnson said in his post-match interview, that Ange told them at half-time, look, guys, if you get 1 goal, you're going to get 2 and 3. It's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He literally read it like a book, and it just showed that when we're on it and when we're full flowing, we're just nearly impossible to deal with. And these teams, like at the moment, there have been in periods where they're in the game and they're looking like, they're on top and they're looking like they're really giving us trouble. But as soon as we turn it on, they can't live with us.
Yeah, it's so true. And there were, apart from the first 10 minutes of the second half, there were kind of moments and times where we threatened to make really good moves together and we just didn't finish our dinner. Like in that first half, that move when Kulusevski went through on goal in the first, I know he was offside, but that move to get it to that area of the pitch was just incredible, wasn't it? And I think there were just a few kind of moves like that where it's just quick interchanges, disguised passes, and
there was a moment, wasn't it?
We're 6 months in.
I think Porro played a quick ball into Kulu in the second half, like a really quick interchange, and Kulu should have taken a shot on his right. He tried to get back on his left and the chance was gone, but there was some really nice moments there. Yeah, and as you say, 6 months in, like it's mad that they're getting these interchanges so quickly, and it's really, really impressive. But Wasn't the end of the story, was it?
No, it wasn't the end of the story because Destiny Udogie puts us well back into pressure once again.
But it wasn't just that. Even before then, they were getting chances.
But it felt like we just took, after that third goal, we just took our foot off the gas when if we would have just kept going, it could have been a bit of a cricket scoreline yesterday.
Yeah, I felt like we were really confident. Maybe we got too overconfident because it felt like maybe at 3-1 we felt the game was won because we started to really dominate. Obviously, the confidence was flowing, and then we started to get a bit sloppy again. I remember there was a moment where Porro had the ball, and he tries a quick first-time pass in behind, but it was really sloppy. He gives it straight to Brentford, and I think they fashioned a chance for me. I think that was when Tony had that shot from 25 yards. It was a whisker wide. Then Højbjerg in the centre, he gives a sloppy pass away, which really unnecessarily, and that led to a ball over the top. MAUPAY squares it to Tony. Thankfully for us, he slips at the crucial moment, but he takes it past, kind of past to the right of Vicario, and he kind of scuffs the shot. And then the ultimate moment happened, and with Udogie, which obviously gave the ball away. Watching it back, I have a bit more sympathy for him maybe than in the game because Van de Ven's actually screaming at him to pass it back to the keeper. I don't think anyone was aware that Tony was in that position, and because I don't think anyone was aware because Tony was literally so far offside. He was literally standing next to Vicario in that position, which is very obviously peculiar place for a striker to be standing in open play. Maybe Tony was being very, very clever here, but no one really saw him. I don't think anyone saw him. It wasn't just Udogie. I don't think no one in the defence knew him. So obviously it's criticism of our whole defence for not being aware where Udogie is. Obviously Udogie, the one who played the pass, has to take the most criticism because he has to be aware of where he's passing to. But I think it is a bit of a clever piece of play from Tony because no one expected him to be in that position out of nowhere. Basically, it wasn't like basically what I'm trying to say is wasn't one of those weak back passes where he underhits it and the striker runs through. You know what I mean? And
it was just stupid.
But no, what I'm saying is Tony was standing right next to Vicario. It was very like an odd position for him. No one expected him to be there. Yeah,
but you've got to be aware of your surroundings and you've got to look where you're passing it to.
I'm saying
and if you're looking back,
give him a shout to pass it back. I'm saying
I get that, but even if Van de Ven gives him a shout, that's a bad play from Van de Ven. But also, Udogie's still got to look back and see where he's passing it to. And if he sees Tony is right next to Vicario, then why are you playing the pass? It was just complete brain fart, in my opinion.
It was a brain fart. I'm saying it wasn't one of those like lazy passes where it's a back pass, but it's under hit, and then a striker runs through and goal and scores. The pass was to Vicario, was going to him, but no one had any idea that Tony was actually there.
But that's the whole point. They should have an idea that he's there. Like they don't get a pass just because they don't know he's there. Like they should know he's there.
But 9 times out of 10, there won't be a striker there.
Yeah.
But so it was a clever piece of play from Tony, but he took advantage of the fact that he guessed that Udogie wasn't going to notice that he was there. Obviously got the goal, really put us under pressure. And those last 20 minutes, to be fair, I think that was 20 minutes ago they scored.
Yeah.
It was pretty much one-way traffic. I mean, we had a few counters in those last 20 minutes, but it was very much tetchy. I don't think they had too many chances, to be fair. Obviously, we all dragged us in on 5 minutes to go, helped see out the game. And I think apart from that, there was one chance they had through, I think Baptiste had a volley, which I think was going over anyway, but Vicario tips it over. Apart from that, we did see out the game in terms of chances actually created for Brentford, but it definitely was squeaky bum time in terms of they were pumping balls into the box. We had to deal with a lot of situations. There was also a lot of situations where I felt like we could have run into the corner. We could have had a bit better game management, and maybe we were a bit immature. Maybe we were continuing to go for more goals when it wasn't possible, when we should have just kept possession better and just kind of killed them that way, where maybe we panicked a bit in the latter stages. But we did end up getting the victory, so you got to give them credit for seeing it out. But definitely wasn't like I wasn't comfortable in those last 20 minutes.
We made it so much more harder than it should have been yesterday. Once we go 3-1 up in the game in the 55th minute or something like that, once we go 3-1 up, it should have been plain sailing. We should have got that 4th goal to really finish the game off like very soon after we got that 3rd goal. We just made it so hard for ourselves. And that's classic Tottenham in a nutshell, isn't it? Like we just make things way much harder than they should be. And you've got to give credit to Brentford for the way they kept plugging away and kept creating chances and kept putting us under pressure. But there were worrying signs in there about our defence and how easy we were to cut open quite a lot of times throughout the game. And that's our first choice defence out there.
Yeah, and I think that's just how it's going to be under Ange. Sometimes you're going to have games where, especially for young players, when you're early in the project, they're going to make mistakes. And the way we play, you commit a lot of risk, you throw a lot of caution to the wind, and look, you get a lot of reward for it with the 3 goals we scored in quick succession, but also you get there's drawbacks to it where sometimes you are going to be cut open if you're not on your game, you're not completely on it. Whereas in maybe the first 10 games, it wasn't happening as much. More recently, look, you got to remember they have been out for a lot of the season. They're back together now, but they're still getting back into the rhythm of things. So I'm not going to give them a total pass because they have been back together now for a few games. But I think that is going to happen, especially in Ange's first season. That's always going to happen. I'm surprised it hasn't happened more, to be honest, if anything. So
we were all saying it coming into the season, weren't we? Like early on, we're going to take a few hidings, a few batterings. Haven't really seen that so far this season. Yeah, exactly. Apart from that game. But in terms of the outlook of the season, moving into 4th into the table, 3 points behind Arsenal in 3rd, with Arsenal playing Liverpool this weekend. So there's a lot to play for in the league. Out all the cups, so only league games now, 16 league games left of the season. A lot of Spurs fans, a lot of people in the team, Højbjerg was saying there's something to fight for. Ange Postecoglou hitting back at a journalist saying Spurs can't win the league this season. Do you reckon in that...
Did you hear Maddison after the game?
No, I didn't. No, what did he say?
He was talking to TNT and he was saying, he was asked, like, well, what can you achieve this season? What's the aim? And he said, look, the manager says we don't want to put a ceiling on it and we just want to get as many points as possible and not rule anything out. There's no point. Why put a ceiling on something? And if you do that, if you don't believe you can do something special, then nothing special is ever going to happen. And look, maybe something special can happen. We're only 3 points off second place right now. I know City have a game in hand, but we're only 3 points off second place. Like, why put a ceiling on what you can achieve with all these players coming back, with the way we're playing as well? Like, I think there's a part of these players that do believe they could really put themselves in and amongst it right at the top. I mean, obviously we are 8 points behind Liverpool. It's obviously fanciful thinking that we are going to win the league, but I think these players, knowing how good they are and knowing there's players to come back and knowing that even with players missing stuff, we're still getting results, there's no reason to believe that we can't have a really strong end to the season, our 16 games.
So are you looking at Liverpool to drop points this weekend?
Liverpool or draw. Basically. No, as long as Arsenal don't win, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But look, if Liverpool do drop, look, to be fair, first things first, we need to beat Everton, and that's not going to be an easy game. In fact, I don't know if we will win that game, to be honest. Right now,
of course, we're going to win.
I don't know. It's going to be really difficult. The type of team Everton are, and you saw how much of a difficult game they gave us at the Tottenham Stadium, at Goodison Park as well. The way they play with set pieces, and they're just so strong. It's going to be difficult, but if we can get a win there, then it really sets us up for whatever result happens at the Emirates. It's going to be a positive result.
Yeah, agreed. So that is your match review from the game. 3-2 win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which in my opinion, I think we got away with one a bit last night with the chances that we were giving up, but definitely a lot of positive performances on the pitch. We
could say we got away with it, but in terms of expected goals, that was the highest amount of expected goals Brentford have conceded this season.
It's true. It's true, it is. But, I mean, with the way the balance of the game and the way the game went, like, we were under pressure for large periods of that game, particularly in the latter stage of the second half, for the majority of the first half as well. And so from that aspect, I think we did get away with one.
Yeah, I think get away with one's a bit of a strong term. I think I think there are other games where, you know, sometimes you're just not in it and you get a few lucky goals or something like that. It wasn't like that. We did earn our goals, if you know what I mean. Like, those were good moments. And
it was a 10-minute spell that won us the game, though, in 90 minutes of football.
Yeah, it was a 10-minute spell of real quality. But, you know, we dominated a lot of possession. We did have efforts on goal. We had more efforts than Brentford as well. Brentford huffed and puffed. And, you know, the goals they did score, I mean, the first one, fine. But the second one, you know, we gifted them. So I think they just got to take it on the chin. I wouldn't say we definitely deserved the win, but I think we earned the win.
I think we slightly edged it out in terms of that 10-minute of quality was the best bit of quality you saw in that game by far by any of the teams. But in terms of the chances that Tony missed as well, you do expect him to put one of those away at least.
That's a good point.
So that is our match review, 3-2 against Brentford. Let's move on to the player ratings, and let's start off with Vicario. 7s all round from us. In terms of the goals we conceded, the one when Tony went through on goal from Udogi's back pass, you can't really put anything down on Vicario on that one. The other one, though, I thought he should have maybe punched it out of sight or cleared it in a better way, which he didn't. It kind of just fell straight to MAUPAY, but I'm not going to mark him down too much on that either. I thought everything else he dealt with really well, to be honest. He made 3 good saves during the game. He was catching a few crosses during the day. The only thing I'll mark him down on actually is his kicking, because a few times he put a few poor cross kicks out from the back.
Yeah, he put out a play a couple of times, didn't he? Which is under no pressure as well. There was one free kick where he seemed to take an age to decide where to kick it and then ended up kicking out a play. I actually don't like. I think his kicking's okay, but I don't think when I look at his kicking technique compared to like Edison or Allison, I don't think he's on that level. It's just I think it's just a case of he can give accurate kicks, but it's not like he's a great passer, is what I would say in terms of like his passing technique. But yeah, I think he dealt with most things well. He made a couple of good saves, one from Tony from a header. He made one decent save from Baptiste late on as well. Apart from that, didn't have too many saves to make overall. Obviously, the one-on-one with Tony is never going to save. He did save that one-on-one from Tony in the first half. Could he have maybe put it wide, maybe a bit wide instead of pushing it back central? Yes, but also the reaction time was very little because Tony was so close to him. So I think overall, I think he had a good game.
Let's move on to Pedro Porro. 7s all round for Pedro Porro. A bit of a mixed game from Pedro Porro, in my opinion. I felt like what we have been accustomed to seeing to Pedro Porro so far this season is really strong attacking play, and I don't think we saw that on a consistent basis against Brentford yesterday, which was a bit of a letdown. But I felt like he dealt with most things that came his way defensively down that side, and I think that's an aspect of his game which he keeps getting better and better at every single week. And for the last couple of weeks, to be honest, I think his attacking play hasn't been as strong as it has been all season, but his defensive displays have been spot on.
Yeah, I thought he played a great pass for the third goal into Højbjerg, which was like almost like a press splitting pass basically, and those passes are invaluable, which he's so good at into the center of the pitch. He's got great vision. I thought his crossing was off yesterday. A number of times he was crossing it from deep positions and wasn't able to pick anyone out. I don't know if it's a consequence of just Brentford having 3 defenders and it's difficult to pick out your man, but I don't think he put in one successful cross. In fact, I was looking at the stats. 8 crosses, none of them successful. Yeah. So I think that goes to show maybe that his crossing needs to be better. I thought defensively, there were a couple of occasions where Lewis Potter-Keane was giving him a bit of trouble, but by and large he dealt with it. There was at one moment that a bit frustrated me late on the game where Brentford took a quick free kick down the right-hand side and Tony in the last minute was completely free down their left-hand side, and on another day he might have made something out of it and Porro again caught out position. But I think by and large he did deal with most things that came his way defensively, and I thought in possession he was quite good, but in terms of actually going forward, I remember he did have a shot in the second half which was whiskered just over the bar, but other than that didn't provide that much. But I thought overall he was okay.
Yeah. Coutinho Romero up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. Obviously, we've been speaking a lot in the match review about why he was at fault for the first goal. Out of position, should have reacted quicker to Vicario. But I think apart from that, I was really impressed with Romero yesterday. I actually gave him my man the match after the game on reflection. I changed that back to Richarlison. But I just thought he was so aggressive. He got the ball away so many times. The clearances, the headers, being aggressive, winning his duels time and time again, pushing up into the midfield as well to give us an extra option. I was actually really impressed apart from that moment from Romero yesterday.
Yeah, there was another moment actually, the moment where Tony had that chance where he slipped. I thought Romero had a bit of a rush of blood to the head and he came flying over to MAUPAY when he didn't need to. I thought there was a defender covering, and him coming flying over actually led to Tony being completely free in the centre, and luckily for him he missed. Then obviously the goal, I don't think it's his fault it was in, but I think if you've decided to let Tony shoot because you're going to make sure you can't square it to MAUPAY, then if that happens, you've got to make sure that MAUPAY doesn't get to the ball first. And I thought he reacted a bit slowly. Some people say he slipped. Maybe that was it. Maybe he slipped in that moment, which allowed MAUPAY to score. And I actually did think he got to the ball. I actually think I've looked at it a few times. I think it might have been a Romero own goal, but anyway, I thought apart from those, couple of moments, so dominant, so confident on the ball. I love watching him when he's on the ball and he's just got such great passing ability, and he's like another midfielder sometimes with ability to pass in between the lines. I thought when we penned Brentford in, it's a large cause because of how dominant he was on the ball. So I thought by and large, pretty good performance.
Yeah. Let's move on to Mickey van der Ven. 7s all round for Mickey. Another good performance, to be fair. Not as strong as the Man City game where he just put in a worldie of a performance. But I think he just dealt with everything that came his way really well. I don't think the kind of ball-playing ability was there from Mickey yesterday. But again, I just thought it was a strong display without being too good kind of thing.
Yeah, there was one moment in the first half where he tried to dribble his way out of trouble and end up giving away a free kick. But apart from that, I thought he was pretty stable on the ball. Once again with Mickey, he just does that covering defending so well. Whenever there's a ball in behind, then you just got no worries who's going to get it, because you just know Mickey's just so fast that he's getting it every single time. When you see Mickey like running over he's about to put in a slide challenge, there's no worry about like, is he going to get there or not? You just know every time he's going to get there. So it's so great. I don't think it was like amazing in terms of I think Romero on the ball was a lot better than him, but I still think when it comes to that defensive side of the game, still really good.
Yeah. He just went about his business quite quietly, didn't he? Mm-hmm. As opposed to like at Man City when he was just at the forefront of everything. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Destiny Udogie. 6s all round. A very mixed game from Udogie yesterday. In the first half, he actually lost the ball quite a few times. I think it was 2 or 3 times actually. He lost the ball in bad areas, one of them leading to a goal, which was just a lazy pass to Bentancur, and they go on up the other end and score. And then in the second half, in the opening 10 minutes, he was absolutely brilliant. He was key to 3 of those goals that we scored yesterday. Obviously, he got on the score sheet for the first one. When he gets on the ball and he's driving down that center of the park, he is just like a bulldozer. You just can't get the ball off him. You can't stop the guy. And that's the key asset that he has in his game. He's just unstoppable at times. But yeah, he had a key moment in all 3 of those goals. And then that telling moment, not telling, but, that poor moment in the 20 minutes to go where he doesn't see Ivan Toney. He tries to pass it back to Vicario, and Ivan Toney is right there and stops the ball in the back of the net. So very much a mixed bag from Destiny yesterday.
Yeah, you can say he was at fault for 2 goals, but also had a big part to play in us scoring 2 goals. So you could argue they cancel each other out. You could argue he's a defender, so the more concentration has to be in him giving away goals than him making goals. You can look at it either way. I tend to look at it positively because he's got a big offensive role. And I thought offensively actually was a lot better than I've seen him in recent weeks, and a lot more confident to just, when he gets that ball in the centre of the park, he just bursts into the space and basically gives Brentford a choice. Either you foul him or you kind of have to allow him the space to mark other players, stand off him. So really, really great from that point of view. I thought he did brilliant for the first goal and the third goal. Really great passing to Maddison for the third goal as well, which created that opportunity. But as you say, really poor moments from him. Really reckless, I would say, in terms of his passing for the first goal. Just like he should see, I think it was Jensen there. Really poor pass into Bentancur, and then second goal, just a terrible mistake. What can you say? Pass it straight to Toney. I give him a bit of sympathy because I don't think anyone knew Toney was there. But if you're making the pass, you have to know where you're passing it, and he made a horrible mistake. Toney was in a bit of a weird position, but he was there, and he should have noticed that. But thankfully, he made up for it with some of the goals he created. So,
and also, you got to remember, this guy is 21 years of age, playing his first 6 months in a new league, and to the level that he's been playing so far this season. So, I think we can give him a pass, can't we?
I think so.
Let's move on to Rodrigo Bentancur. 5s all round for Rodri. Unfortunately, I don't know, since he's come back from injury, he just hasn't looked the same as he was maybe obviously in the first 20 minutes of the Villa game, but even before, when he was before he'd done the ACL, which is expected, you're out for so long through injury. He just seems to be playing within himself at the moment. He losing the ball in the middle of the park, doesn't seem his silky best, and he got taken off at half time.
I felt like on the ball he was okay. It wasn't maybe at his best, but I saw some good stuff from him. But I felt like he was really struggling physically off the ball. He was forced to make a lot of fouls, people getting past him. He just seemed a bit off his game to his regular standard. And maybe it's a fitness issue. Maybe he's not 100% there physically. Maybe it's something that will come with time. But definitely wasn't himself yesterday, Bentancur, which is a massive shame. Obviously got taken off at half-time, and probably the right decision, or who knows, maybe he would have improved in the second half if he would have stayed on, but he took the decision to take him off. I just could jot it down to one of the poor games on his return. I do think there have been better games. I don't think every game has been like this since he's come back.
I think it was very similar to his game against Man City, though.
Man City, potentially. I think, everyone just didn't see the ball against Man City, so it's hard to really judge. But I thought off the ball was the most concerning. He kept giving away free kicks in needless positions where maybe Bentancur of yesteryear might have been able to get him back in those positions to win the ball back. So, disappointing, unfortunately.
Let's move on to Oliver Skip, I think. Yeah, Ollie Skip. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. Another one that was hooked off at half-time. I felt like he was one of our better players in the first half, along with the likes of Richarlison and potentially Timo. But I was really shocked when he got taken off at half-time, because I felt like he was putting such good energy in there for the team. He was winning so many duels and battles in the middle of the park. On the ball, look, on the ball, you're never going to be too impressed with Ollie Skip, but I think he did what he had to do. I just felt like it was a shame for him to get taken off at half-time, because he was actually having a decent game.
Yeah, I felt like we did lack that bit of guile, obviously, with him there. Maybe that's the reason why Ange decided to change it, bring Kulusevski on, have that bit more just quality on the ball and decision making, which Skip was, definitely lacks in the offensive areas. I thought defensively he was really good, and I actually thought he was causing a nuisance in terms of he was winning free kicks as well. He was making things awkward for the Brentford midfield, but Ange took that decision. I thought he was probably our best midfielder in the first half. I thought he was actually pretty decent, but I still don't think it was like a performance where he had to stay on no matter what. It's still like, I wouldn't say it was like bad, but he was decent. I don't think it was anything special.
It's just harsh to take him up at half time
because he was our best midfielder. But in terms of tactically, it probably made sense.
James Maddison returned to the starting lineup. We gave him 7s. In the first half, he did seem a bit out of sorts. Didn't seem like his usual self. Looked very rusty, which is kind of expected. But I think he came out with a different mentality in that second half, and he looked really good. He grew into the game in a massive way. They found it really hard to get the ball off him, especially in the box. He was twisting and turning. All the dribbles on the night were successful. 3 key passes on the day as well. He forced that goal that Richarlison scored for our 3rd. And I thought Maddison, in the end, having all said and done, was a positive return to the starting lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah, really grew into it in the second half. Obviously, did end up getting taken off right at the end with cramp, which I think a lot of people were worried, is he got a recurrence to the injury or something? But Ange did confirm after the game it was just cramp, so nothing to be worried about. Maybe it's, first game back and he played nearly 90 minutes, so it's always going to be tough for him to do that. I thought he was really rusty in that first half, and he was a bit frustrating. I think he was getting frustrated with himself as well. I saw in that first half he was rushing things. He was trying to play passes where there wasn't really a passing option available, trying to force things a bit too much. Second half, changed it completely, had a bit more control, and as you said, his ability in those tight spaces to weave in and out of challenges and keep the ball in situations where it seems impossible to keep it, that's where all of a sudden Brentford started getting frustrated. And obviously one of those moments came for the goal, with the 3rd goal, which he ends up keeping. He's got 3 players around him. He somehow maneuvers the position, even with 3 players around him, to get a shot off, and obviously it leads to Richarlison getting a tap in. So really, really positive from that moment as well. Again, wasn't his most stellar display. I wouldn't say it was anything near his best, but in the second half was a big improvement on the first and encouraging going forward. And
to get 88 minutes in his legs will just do him the world of good for a big game coming up this weekend against Everton. Let's move on to Richarlison, our man of the match. 8 all round for him. Another stellar display from Richarlison, and another another goal to add to his catalogue. That's 8 goals, and that's why we give him the 8. Unbelievable performance, in my opinion. He just held up the ball so well. He was so aggressive up against the Everton midfield and defence as well. He was making it stick. His link-up play was really good. Nearly scored a wonder of a goal in the first half as well that hit the stanchion at the back, and the fans to the left of us all thought it was in, but we actually had a really good view of it. I just think Rishi is just growing in confidence, and you can see it on the pitch, and his ability in terms of everything that he needs to do in the number 9 and Ange system is going up a notch.
It really is. I think he's showing how perfect he is for that number 9 role. Again, another poacher's effort from him, which he seems to be a master at the moment, just being in that position, finishing off those chances when it falls to him. And that's actually really, really brilliant. Tireless running, always giving the centre-backs work to do, never letting them rest for 1 second. And obviously his his all-round game is really, really improving. He's looks stronger. He's holding the ball up. He's making it stick. He's holding off defenders. He's bringing other players into play. He's winning corners. He's winning free kicks. He's just being a general nuisance, and he's being hard to deal with, and he's just being a defender, being a striker which defenders don't like to play against. So really, really great, and he's getting the goals now to back up those other things as well, which is absolutely fantastic for him. And look, he's still 4 goals off Sonny, so I don't think he's looking like he's going to overtake him anytime soon. But if he carries on this form, he could easily break 15 league goals, which would be a fantastic return.
Yeah, but to be 4 goals off Sonny, like at this stage of a season, is mad from where Richarlison came from. First half of the season, he couldn't hit a barn door. He couldn't even trap a ball. He couldn't control a ball. And now he's only 4 goals off Sonny. So that is a major credit to where he's come from.
Yeah, and I think I looked at his stats as well. I think goals and assists per 90. I think he's like in the top 10 now in the Premier League. So just goes to show how effective he's becoming. Yeah,
and he's silencing all the trolls. He backed up Maddison, didn't he, with that goal celebration yesterday, which was great to see. And he actually he ran back and gave MAUPAY a little shove after he scored as well.
Don't shithouse a shithouse.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to Decky. 5s all round for Kulusevski. I thought first half, he started on the right-hand side of the attack on the wing. I don't think he put in a great display by any stretch of the imagination. I thought he was really wasteful in that first half. Second half, he got moved back into the middle. I did think he improved slightly. He was central to one of the goals that we did score. But apart from that, I did feel a bit let down by Kulusevski yesterday.
Yeah, it wasn't his best. Definitely better in the second half. I thought it was a bit anonymous in the first. He had a couple of opportunities on the right-hand side to, create something or run at a defender. Didn't take those opportunities and ended up kind of just being a bit anonymous. In the second half, definitely a lot more involved. Definitely getting on the ball a lot more. As you say, I think the second goal, I thought he did brilliantly, actually. A really great touch and a really great pass into Werner, which obviously led to the second goal. And that was a really good moment for him. But I felt like he was, maybe, I don't know what it was, but again, he needs to be taking more shots on his right foot. He had a couple of occasions on his right to get a shot away, decided against it, especially being played for on goal. I think it was Porro played a brilliant pass into him in the second half. Could have had a strike on goal, decided against it. I think in general play, it wasn't bad. I just felt like he could have been a bit more incisive, a bit more trying to hurt Brentford rather than just facilitate, which is fine. Could have driven with the ball a bit more. What I love about Kulu is how strong he is and how great he is at ball carrying, but we didn't see enough of that in this game, unfortunately. But look, he will have better games. I don't think he was a disaster by any stretch, but definitely one of his poorer games.
Yeah, he's not going through a good moment at the moment, Kulusevski. He's not performing well, unfortunately. And when you've got players like Heung-min Son out and you really need your front three to proper start firing, we need him back on form. And I don't know, there's just something in his gameplay at the moment where he's not at that. Because when he's at his best, Kulusevski, he's literally unplayable. Like, you can't get the ball off him. He drives into that space. He takes on men. You just can't get the ball off him. And I just feel like he's playing within himself a little bit at the moment.
I would like to see him start a game alongside Maddison and see how that does in that kind of game.
Maddison, Bentancur and Kulu in the midfield three.
Wouldn't mind that.
It'll be good against like a low block team, that's for sure. Let's move on to Timo Werner. 8 all round for Turbo Timo. Best performance in the Spurs shirt for sure in the little games that he has had. I thought in the first half he was a bit of a danger. He had that shot that went through a couple of men that the keeper saw really late, and it looked to me that it was creeping in the back post, but it was kind of a weak effort, but it did nearly creep in. The keeper, I don't know if it hit the post or the keeper saved it, but
corner, so it must have been.
So it went wide in the end, and we got the corner off it. But in the second half, it was the first 10 minutes of that second half. He was just electric, wasn't he? Got that past the Destiny Udogie who barged his way in and got the first goal. And then he hit the byline, skinned his man, and found Brennan Johnson with a lovely ball at the back post, which was absolutely spot on from Timo Werner. And I felt he was a real big threat. And his attributes that he has is just perfect for this team with the speed that he has. He can go on the outside. He can get crosses in the box. And if you want to account that Destiny Udogie assist, for Destiny Udogie, I mean, that's 3 assists in 3 games.
Yeah, which is really, really great, and a great start to life at Tottenham, considering a lot of people are doubting him, a lot of people are saying, what's the point of this loan signing? So he's already making an impact, so already, repaying that loan fee, probably. You could even argue he's already repaid it, if we're just going to take him on loan. You could argue he's already done his job after 3 games, just getting those assists. So the second assist he got, absolutely brilliant, devastating, really showed he can use his left foot as well, really pinpoint cross across the face of goal. I think that moment was pure Ange. That's like exactly how Ange envisages this thing working with Werner.
Ange in its purest form.
Yeah, I just think Ange, this was exactly the game plan. Werner taking him on the outside, using his pace and putting a beautiful ball across the face to goal, and Johnson there to tap it home at the back post. So I thought that was really, really great. I thought he was a nuisance on the left-hand side, definitely a lot better than Kulu was on the right-hand side. I wouldn't say he was great in the first half, but obviously he had our only good moment with a shot. And the second half, that 10 minutes, he was unplayable. They couldn't handle him, and he was absolutely brilliant. I would have liked to see more of him in those last 20 minutes when we had a few breakaways, and I don't know if we didn't find him or he didn't do enough of his chances, a bit of both. I'm sure that will happen. He said after the game he's still only between 80 and 90% there physically, because he hasn't played a lot of football this season. So he said he feels like he's getting faster and he's getting sharper. So I'm hoping he's only going to get better as well. Hopefully he gets more opportunities to actually score and get shots off, which I didn't feel like he did enough maybe yesterday. But it was a really, really another encouraging performance, and really good start to life under at Spurs. And it's not been like amazing, but yesterday was really, really good, and he's been contributing in the assist department, so it's really positive.
All we can ask for is progression, and I think we've seen that from his first game against Manchester United to now, and I think they're getting better and better game by game. To be honest, against Man City, I know he didn't see much of the ball, but he kept making those good runs, didn't he? Kept finding the space. That was our fault for not finding him consistently, time and time again. We found him in the opening stages of that second half against Brentford, and we saw what happened. So hopefully this confidence keeps growing in Timo Werner, and we'll see even better from him in the next couple of games. But I was thinking about this before, like when Sonny comes back, and with the form of all these players, when you look at the form of Richarlison, you look at the form of Werner, you look at the form of Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson, would you consider sticking Timo still on the left, Rishi up top, and put Son on the right?
Son on the right? I think it's more likely Werner will go on the right. Because maybe he can go on the outside and have those.
Son is so both-footed, though.
He is. He is both-footed, but I think I've never been convinced by him when I've seen him on the right-hand side, Sonny. I don't know why. It just doesn't. For some reason, he doesn't like to cut in on his left like consistently. He prefers to.
We've seen him do it before, though.
No, of course, but usually it's like when he's about to take a shot, he'll cut in on his left and go for it. But for some reason, when he's playing on the right-hand side, he finds it a bit awkward. I don't know. I think in that position, I'll probably go for Werner on the right and get him going on the outside of his defender and getting crosses in that way, with Son sticking on the left wrist up front.
I don't think I've ever seen Werner play on the right, though. Has he ever done it?
A few times, yeah.
He has.
And maybe, yeah, he has. I don't know to any great effect, but he has. And maybe even you could have, if Richie gets injured or whatever, or comes out of form, you could even have games where Werner's up front potentially, because we know he can play that role as well. So look, really exciting versatile options there.
Yeah, I would really like to see that front three of Sonny, Werner, and Richie.
Yeah, it would be very interesting.
Yeah,
we saw Johnson on the right and Son and Werner, that pacey front three.
But Rishi, you just can't take Rishi out of the team at the moment. That's the reality. But let's move on to the substitutes. Brennan Johnson, sevens all round for Brennan. Come on, got the goal straight away. Really good positional play. He was saying how disappointed he's been with his form about not getting in the right areas, and he exactly did that. Got in the right areas for this game. I felt like after his goal, he was kind of non-existent in the game, to be honest. I don't remember too many good things that he did do. He was buzzing around, but didn't really get too involved. But you got to give him credit for being in the right place at the right time and putting the ball in the back of the net. And he gets an extra mark as well for the shithouse celebration against MAUPAY.
Yeah, I felt like that goal gave him some confidence, not necessarily to really take the game to Brentford in terms of like, creating chances and stuff, but I did feel like I saw a bit of confidence on the ball from him in terms of keeping it, skipping past the player and then facilitating more possession and things like that. So that was positive. I agree with you. In terms of after his goal, did he really get any crosses in or any shots or anything like that? I don't remember too many. So that's definitely something to point out. But as you say, good positioning for the goal. Really great for him to get to the back post and getting those positions. He admitted himself after the game he hasn't been in the best form, so hopefully that goal can give him a lot of confidence going forward.
Yeah. And finally, the last player that we're going to rate is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, sevens all round, who also came on at half-time for Oliver Skipp. And I felt like he impacted the game in a positive way. He gave us that more physicality in the middle of the park. I felt like he was better on the ball than what Ollie Skipp was in the first half. And I just love his mentality. Never stops running, provides an option for us all the time, was important for us in those first 10 minutes of the second half when we got those goals as well. So you got to give him some praise.
100%. And I think he came on and really calmed the game down. I think he maybe the team were getting a bit riled up in certain situations, and maybe he came on and gave a bit of a clearer head to everyone, make sure they're concentrating on the job in hand, gave us a bit of extra bite in the middle as well, winning the ball in good areas. I did feel like after we went 3-1 up, he actually then reverted to being a bit frustrating because he had a few sloppy passes and could have cost us. But I think overall, really positive impact and a really good second half performance from him.
And the other subs that did come on, Radu Dragusin, first game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I thought he was actually winning some balls in the air, wasn't he? We reverted to a back three in the last few minutes of the game. There was one worrying moment from Dragusin where he just let the ball bounce in front of him, which could have ended in a different way. And also Jamie Donnelly, who came on in the last few minutes and did a really good foul to earn that yellow card where Brentford could have been on the counter-attack.
Yeah, they weren't on for that long, so not too much to say, but that's the only thing Donnelly did. But it was a good moment because MAUPAY looked like he was going to attack that space, and Donnelly was brought on to play in centre mid, so he had to be mature about it and to do things like that. So that was really, really good.
I thought that was ballsy from Ange to put Donnelly in the centre mid.
Maybe it shows the trust he has in him.
Yeah. But let's talk about Ange now. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. Started the game like a house on fire, to be honest. It looked like we were going to go romp Brentford from the beginning. We had that really nice move where Kulusevski could have been through on goal, but it was called offside, but Kulu missed the chance anyway. And then for some reason or another, we just we lost our way. I felt like Brentford tried to get under our skins and it was working, to be honest. It really was. They were hard in the challenge with us, and Ange would have been really unhappy with what he saw for the majority of that first half. And unlike the Man City game where he took a while to make the changes, he made the changes straight away at half time. And I thought it impacted the game really well. You saw how well we came out in that second half. So his changes making a big impact in that game. New signing in Timo Werner making a real impact. His man management, but potentially Richarlison kind of bringing him to the fore as well. Worrying that we didn't keep going when we were 3-1 up and put ourselves under more pressure. But I felt, again, the changes that he made late in the game, Dragusin making it back to a back three, did do well for the team. So it was worrying how much of the time we were under pressure in the game, but credit to him that we got 3 points.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the first half, obviously we did, as you say, we did start really well, but maybe things went against us. We were getting involved in stupid situations which we didn't need to do, and Brentford getting on the wrong side of us and all that kind of stuff. And maybe young side, he even admitted after the game, we showed a bit of our immaturity maybe in that first half, getting involved in too many stupid situations. But you got to give him credit because he came in at half-time, clearly gave him a talking to, made a couple of really positive changes as well, and we came out a completely different side in that next 10 minutes and completely blew Brentford away. Those changes really worked. I said even in the preview that I wouldn't be surprised if Kulusevski on the right doesn't work and he goes back to Johnson quite early. That's exactly what happened. And obviously those changes really, really helped and added a bit more quality, exactly the right time, didn't wait too long as well. In other games, maybe he wouldn't have changed it at half time. You would have waited till like the 60th minute or something to see if things would have changed. But he went early, he decided he'd seen enough, and that was really, really positive. And I do feel for him because, in the last 20 minutes we were under the cosh, and obviously he brought on Dragusin to see out the game. But, I'm looking on the bench. There's just not much there for him to really come to change it in terms of adding that extra energy in the forward line and giving the team a second wind. And that's why maybe we were, penned in a bit in that last stages of the game and under a lot of pressure. Could have dealt with it a bit better, but we did end up getting 3 points and seeing it through. And I think Ange was a big part of why I won that game with his changes. So I gave him an 8.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is your player ratings. Let's move on to the 5 takeaways. We're going to take a look at the 3-2 win against Brentford and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. And up first, we're going to be talking about that Werner impact.
Yeah, and obviously made his second start in the league, his third start overall, Timo Werner. And really, really positive from him. And he's already making an impact on the left wing on his loan deal. We know he's only here potentially for 6 months. We'll have to wait and see in the summer whether we do take that on permanently. But, he's been asked to make an impact and make it quickly. And that's exactly what he's doing, especially with the numbers. And obviously unfortunately didn't get the assist for the first goal, but if we give it to him, it's 3 assists now in 3 games, or 3 assists in 2 Premier League games I think is a better way of putting it. He had 3 key passes on the day, won 3 of his 4 duels as well. That was an underrated thing, how hard he worked as well off the ball, which was really, really positive. And he's really on the left-hand side, using his pace, using his width as well. He's really making an impact in terms of how Ange Postecoglou wants to play his system. And a lot of people doubted whether he would make an impact in this team, and after 3 games, thankfully we can say that he started really, really positively.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm loving watching him play. To be honest, he's getting better and better as each game progresses. He's making the right runs. He's finding good spaces. His pace is going to be such an asset to this team. Already is such an asset to this team. And you know what I love most about Werner though is how happy he seems to be here. You saw him in that interview after the game, how he was saying, when the Spurs made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and he just seems like so happy to be here. Goosebumps, that's it. Goosebumps. I mean, I'm really starting to like him, and I'm really starting to love how he just wants to be here, and he's like I think he sees this as a real opportunity for him.
Maybe you can see why, even though he didn't work out at Chelsea, the Chelsea fans are still very fond of him.
Yeah,
he's a very likable person.
Exactly. But let's move on to number 2, and that is Maddison's return.
Yeah, so look, first start since that Chelsea game back in November, and I thought it was a really positive return for Maddison. Not his best game, that's for sure, and he's had better games, and I'm sure he'll only improve. And in the first half, he did look a bit rusty and a bit sloppy, but his numbers were still pretty strong in terms of how the game progressed. He won 9 of his 13 ground duels, which is incredible for a player like James Maddison, who's known as more of a creator and a flair player. So shows he really put a foot in, really worked hard. He won 4 fouls on the day, 3 key passes, 3 tackles as well, 2 out of 2 dribbles, and 110 touches on the day as well. So was involved a lot in the game, and definitely grew as the game went on. Definitely had a much better second half, was much more involved in the game, and I think he showed glimpses of what we were missing since he's been out. So really, really positive. And I think the main thing there, even though he was maybe on it at his best on the ball, even though he did improve, 9 out of 13 ground duels for a player like him, that's a figure you'd associate with a Basuma or a Højbjerg or something. And for that, James Maddison is really, really impressive. Shows that even when he's not having his best game on the ball, not a liability off, and he puts his all into the game. You know what, though? That doesn't surprise me at all. I think he was doing that work off the ball before he got injured, and that was a key asset to his game. On the ball and off the ball, he's absolutely top-notch. On the ball, in the first half particularly, was really poor, but he grew into the game, as you said. And as well, in terms of his off-the-ball work, it is something that I noticed from him in his last season for Leicester. He was doing it consistently, time and time again, dropping deep, winning duels, being a real asset to winning the ball back consistently, time and time again. And that's what we need in this Spurs team. We need our attacking players as well as our kind of, the usuals, the Basumas, the Bentancurs, all these players to be an asset for us off the ball. We need players like James Maddison to drop deep, win the ball back quickly, so we can set out on our attacks and surprise the opponents and spring on our opponents. And I think that's why James Maddison's so good for this football club. Definitely. But let's move on to number 3, and that is Ange changes the game. Yeah, and those changes were so crucial at halftime to win Spurs that game, because in the first half, really struggling to break Brentford down. We were kind of slow, stodgy, weren't really affecting the game in the first half. We had 6 shots on goal, only 0.54 xG in the first half as well. So weren't really looking like scoring. Brentford were much the better side, and in fact we had 72 possessions. So we had a lot of possession, but we weren't really hurting Brentford, and it was kind of a lot of meaningless possession, which is something Ange Conte talks about. Doesn't like possession for possession's sake. He likes possession for a purpose.
Yeah,
that wasn't happening in the first half. But second half, he made the changes. He brought Johnson on, made the pitch a lot wider, made more space in the centre, brought Kulusevski on to exploit that space as well. Sorry, he put Kulusevski in the centre, so make sure that once we made that pitch wider, we had more quality in those central areas to make sure we're exploiting that extra space we're going to get. And it worked an absolute treat, completely blitzed them. In that second half, in fact, we had 13 shots, 2.47 xG in that second half, which is a really high mark.
How many of how much xG did we have outside the first 10 minutes of the second half, though?
I think those 3 goals were probably near all of it, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a lot of it. We did have a few opportunities apart from that, but that would have made up, because there were 3 really clear-cut opportunities, obviously, for the goals. But obviously, we did completely blow them away in that second half. And a lot of it was to do with how Ange changed the game, how tactically he changed it as well. And obviously, that talking to he gave at halftime about not getting too involved in those scraps and those stupid moments. So Ange tactically was, I thought, brilliant in those changes.
Yeah, I think he would have been upset with maybe what happened after we scored the 3rd goal, and obviously what happened in the first half. But I'd love to be a fly in the wall at halftime at the Spurs Stadium yesterday, because he must have just laid into them at halftime, because they deserved it, to be honest. Because we shouldn't be giving up so many chances to Brentford like that at home. We just shouldn't. But let's move on to number 4, and that is a mixed day for Destiny Udogie.
Yeah, it was a weird one from Destiny, because I think overall, when you take his overall performance, like taking away like the big moment in the game, which is like the goals and the goals conceded, stuff like that, like if we're talking about his overall performance, actually pretty decent. 5 of his 10 duels won, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 clearances, one of his two dribbles completed as well. So he was having a pretty decent day, but he did make those 2 horrible errors for both goals. The first one, really lackadaisical pass, which was intercepted, and it allowed Brentford to get on our goal very quickly, and obviously led to MAUPAY putting in the first goal. Second goal, completely a bit of a brain fart. Didn't see Ivan Toney when next to Vicario, can just pass it straight to him, gives him 1-on-1, and it's a goal. And so on the face of that, you're thinking, oh, he's had a bit of a shocker. But going on the flip side, heavily involved in the goals we did score, and really made positive impact going forward. Heavily involved in the obviously scored the first goal, but obviously involved in the build-up as well. Played the ball out wide to Werner, followed it up into the box, muscled his way in and got the first goal. The third goal as well. Charged his way through that centre of the park after a good pass from Højbjerg. Played a lovely ball into James Maddison, who obviously conjured up the third goal as well into Richarlison. So really affected the game really positively going forward as well. So on a day where he made 2 really bad errors, and you probably on another day you're walking away from that saying he had a shocker and had a really bad game, actually it was, I wouldn't say a positive display, but ended up with some really key positives as well going forward. So it was a mixed day for him, it's fair to say.
If those 2 mistakes don't happen with those dodgy passes, you're probably giving him an 8 out of 10, something like that. I think that's how well he actually played. I said it before in the player ratings, like he's a steam train. Like as soon as he gets the ball and he starts running, you just can't get the ball off him. He's so physical for someone of his age as well. 6 months in the Premier League of someone so young. It's just so impressive what he's done in the Spurs shirt. It was just so frustrating to me, those lazy and stupid passes that he did. I wouldn't say the second one was lazy, but the first one was most definitely lazy. The pass to Bentancur when they scored their first goal. The second one was just a bit silly. But, it's just I wouldn't say it's a bit of a theme, but it has happened a couple of times now throughout the season. Cast your mind back to the West Ham game. He did that stupid pass where West Ham scored, I think, Jared Bowen. And he just needs to cut these things out of his game. And I think we won't have any complaints about him whatsoever. The guy, I'm in love with the guy. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He just needs to cut these few things out of his game.
Yeah, needs to stop doing those Steven Gerrard-esque back passes.
Exactly. And then fifth and final takeaway is into the top 4.
Yeah, so really crucial moment. Obviously, Aston Villa losing to Newcastle on Tuesday night, 3-1 at home, which left the door open for Tottenham to get their way into the top 4. Considering how good Villa have been for a lot of the season, especially at home, really good moment for Tottenham to overtake them. Considering we had a lot of struggles in after the Chelsea game, and we had a lot of period with a lot of players out, and we had to deal with a lot of difficulties in the squad. And I said at that moment that our form in those first 10 games means that we can afford to have a bit of a bad spell and still keep ourselves in the hunt of the top 4. And that's exactly what's happened. Even with the players coming back now, we're right in that fight for top 4. In fact, we're only 3 points away from second place Man City, who do have a game in hand, but we're only 3 points away from them at the moment. So really, really great. We've got some really decent fixtures coming up. I know Everton's a tough one, but after that, I think we play Palace at home.
Brighton first.
Brighton at home. Play Palace, I think Wolves as well. So some really good opportunities for Spurs to start to go on a bit of a run, pick up some points, and look, who knows if we can keep pace with the top 2 or the top 3, I should say. Maybe we can have a really special end to the season, and I'm really, really excited. But being back in the top 4, because I think we've been out of it for a while now, being 5th, but being back in the top 4, being a backup of Villa is really, really great.
Yeah, and Villa are having a bit of a wobble at the moment, aren't they?
1 win in 5 for them.
Yeah, 1 win in 5. They just lost a home game, which they've been so strong at home all season, to a Newcastle side who have been losing every game away from home. So they're having a wobble. We need to capitalise on that, and I think we are doing that. And with all the players that we have coming back now, Heung-min Son will be back. I think he misses a maximum of 2 more games. Pape Matar is back. You're going to start seeing those options off the bench as well. So I think this second half of the season is a lot to be excited about. I actually said just before the players went off to the AFCON and Asia Cup, I said if Spurs can keep in and amongst the top, like in touching distance of the top by the time these players come back, then I think we could last the distance and actually be in a title race this season. I do think we're going to fall a bit short. We're a bit too far away now, being 8 points behind Liverpool at this stage.
Just look relentless at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I do feel like we are a bit too far away now. So I think a title race is beyond us, but I think we should definitely be able to confirm our place into the top 4 for sure.
I think that'll be a brilliant season, considering how we were at the beginning of the season. It was very difficult to see us in the top 4. A lot of people saying top 6 is a good season and shows progression. So the fact that we're talking about right now that we have a really good chance of making it back into the Champions League at the first time of asking is super impressive.
Yeah, and there's just so much to look forward to. Like if we do get top 4 this season, even if we finish 3rd and finish above Arsenal, what a season that is. Mm-hmm. Judging by where we were at the start of the season, losing Harry Kane after finishing 8th in the table, you're just fearing the worst. And we've responded in a really good way. Ange has been perfect for this football club. And if we have a really good summer window and in the Champions League next season, it could be a very special year next year.
Could well be.
But that is your 5 takeaways from the 3-2 win against Brentford. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And just before we get into reacts, let's go through a few super chats. Michael from Poland, member for 23 months. Big up, Michael. And he says, boys, seeing one of our wonder kids loaned out to a Polish side is something I never expected to see. I'll give you a loan report during the call-in shows. I'm very much looking forward to that, Michael.
What's the team name he's gone to again? I can't remember the name. I want Michael to become an ultra. That's what I'm thinking.
It's Radomiak Radom.
I want Michael to become a Radok ultra.
Radok. Radomiak Radom.
Radomiak Radom.
Just call him Radok.
Radok. They're the Radoks.
Andrew Dean super chat says, yesterday showed the importance of squad depth. Ange had options to change the game when the starting 11 didn't do the job and move back to a back 3 and set up shop. I still think he was limited in terms of the options that he did have on his bench, but when you're looking at the players that are going to come back now, Bissouma, Sarr and Heung-min Son, as well as a few players coming back from injury like Giovanni Lo Celso, all of a sudden in a few weeks we could have a full bench of actual players that can change a game.
Yeah, and just remember at the beginning of the season how much of a difference that made. Like when we were in those first 10 games, we had that obviously settled 11, and then Hoy be able to come on, Lo Celso would come on and would really give it a really positive impact at the end of the games, help us see out games as well, and or even even help us try and go and win games if we needed a second wind. And it has really hampered us, like being restricted in terms of numbers on the bench and things like that in recent weeks. And once we have that fully fit squad back and we have options to choose from, hopefully we get back to that level in this, like we were at the beginning of the season, where we can actually change things like on the 70th minute to really impact the game, which I feel like we haven't been able to do for a while.
Yeah, and I think that's culminated in a bit of fatigue as well throughout the team. Last super chat from SLG saying, when Son is back, who do you bench up front? Tough. I mean, we were speaking about this before. I would just love to see a front three of Son, Richarlison and Timo. I think they're probably our most informed front three. And obviously, Son hasn't played in a while because he's out at the Asia Cup, but he's always going to be at the top of the list, isn't he? So I think those three are the form players at the moment, and you've got to pick the form players. I think Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson have been an issue in the past 2 or 3 games, and that's just the reality.
Yeah, but it's still got 2 games potentially before Son comes back, so we have to wait and see what where they are at that moment. Right now, probably one of those, although maybe Kulu goes back into the centre potentially, and then one of those players go out wide. But then again, if Kulu goes in the centre, where does Sarr or Bentancur come in? It's going to be very, very interesting. I think it's good problems to have. It means everyone's playing well, and then you look at like teams like Liverpool, though they got 5 forwards. You never really know which ones are going to play every week. It's always different. So if you look at it from that perspective, I don't think it should be even a thing to worry about in that sense.
But it's good options to have, good headache to have, and suddenly we're going to start to look like a squad again instead of just the first 11. But let's go and see how the internet reacted to the game yesterday. There's a lot of funny things in here today. I'm guessing it's going to be mainly looking at Neil Maupay yesterday and what he had to say in the game. But first up is the THFC report. And this is Richarlison trolling Maupay yesterday. This was brilliant. Cast your mind back to the kick-ups at the City ground last season when Brennan Johnson kicked lumps out of him. This is him doing his own version again with a few kick-ups in front of Maupay just to wind him up a little bit. And then he just goes and barges into him. I love that. Absolutely.
As I say, you can't shithouse a shithouse. So Maupay thinks he was the main shithouse there, but he hasn't seen Richarlison. What point of the game was this? I don't know. Maybe it was near the end of the game, but absolutely fantastic stuff. And he was really winding Maupay up. You can see Maupay complaining. He's like, come on, what's he doing? And like Rishi just doesn't give a shit. It's so funny.
I absolutely love Rishi, man. I love him. Sebastian says Werner is Iniesta compared to Mudryk.
Has he got more goal contributions than Mudryk now?
Must do.
I don't know.
Has Mudryk got any? Mudryk scored one. He scored against Arsenal. I think he got another one in there as well.
Fulham, I think.
So yeah, he scored 2 goals.
He's catching up.
Yeah,
Mudryk's had the whole season. He's got more than Anthony, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Carly T says, Vicario, tell Pedro Porro I got dibs on next.
Brilliant. That Vicario hug, can't be avoided. That big grit, that big grasp, you can't stay away from it.
You saw it at the end. I think it might show it at the game, but at the end of the game, he just absolutely jumped on a donkey as well.
They'll come up.
Axel THFC saying the Norgard guy made 5 fouls after he was booked at the 17th minute, and somehow he completed the 90 minutes. And this is something that we kept talking about during the game, isn't it? Like, he gets booked so early on, and he just kept making fouls. Where was the second booking?
Yeah, literally. It was about, I don't know if he's being hyperbolic or not, but he made so many fouls. It was actually really frustrating. It was like the referee just refused to give him a second yellow, which was really, really frustrating. And there were dirty fouls as well. And we kept how many fouls did he actually make?
I'm just checking now.
6. He made 6 fouls.
Yeah.
And he got booked really early. So I think that's a spot on. Like, he completely deserved to be sent off, and he completely got away with one. It was just like he had license to just keep fouling.
6 fouls
because you get a yellow for persistent fouling. It's 5 fouls for persistent.
But one sec, did he got a yellow for his first foul, didn't he?
Yeah.
First foul.
It was a bad one. Yeah.
But the first foul. So you're telling me 5 fouls don't equal a yellow card?
And yeah, for persistent fouling. What equals persistent fouling? It was madness how he didn't get sent.
And how many of those were in the first half as well? Like, it was all in a short space of time, a lot of them. Ridiculous. But anyway, the Tottenham Hotspur feed saying the dark art at the age of 19. This is Jamie Donnelly taking down Maupay when we needed it the most. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Really crucial. Really great foul from him as well. Shows a bit of maturity, not letting him have that chance. And good for a young player to realise that.
Yeah. No context, Tottenham. I love these kind of celebrations. You kind of see these week in, week out from Kuti and Porro, to be fair.
I love how Porro goes flying, like, bam, he's flying backwards. No one person was moving in that chest bump. It wasn't going to be Romero. But I think that was celebrating a goal kick in the 90th minute.
Yeah,
I think
it was.
Brilliant.
Central goals, James Maddison on Neil MAUPAY copying his celebration. He's not scored enough goals on his own to have his own celebration. James Maddison is so brilliant in post-match interviews, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so refreshing to hear like a player talk like a normal human being.
Yeah,
so,
not a robot.
Exactly. It's really, really great.
This is another one of Kuti and Porro, so we'll go on to the next one. I'm not sure what this one is.
My
United
reaction.
Spurs of America.
Oh, this is a guy. This is reaction to Brentford saying we ended now. It's a guy taking a swarm of bees and just eating them. He's got this swarm of bees. It's hard to watch.
Do you know what the hell? Do you know what it is? You know what it is with bees, though. What happens when bees sting you?
They die.
Exactly, and that's what happened yesterday.
Exactly right. 100%. Great analogy.
James Coy is saying Richarlison running up to MAUPAY. This was brilliant yesterday. I love it.
Also, if you watch, this is absolutely pretty. Gets in his face. If you watch it, look at Højbjerg like telling him to like stop being stupid. Look at him. He's like shouting at him. As well. It's like, what are you doing?
Højbjerg's like the dad.
Calm down. Like, come on. Like, concentrate. At the end of the game, sort of like concentrating on riling up MAUPAY. It's like getting the game.
Just runs past him, shouting in his face.
I can't remember who did that as well. I think it might have been. Maybe Ronaldo did that to someone? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, but it was a great moment. Sea Dog THFC saying in the background you see Mickey and Vicario celebrating the victory. In the foreground you see Ben Davis explaining Højbjerg what happens on page 19 of Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. There you go, Ben Davis explaining. Lovely. Absolutely brilliant. I wonder what they're chatting about.
Yeah, that's what they're chatting about. Lion, Witch and Wardrobe, mate.
I'm sure.
The Spurs web with some stats on Richarlison's performance yesterday. 98 minutes played, 46 touches, 2 tackles, 1 interception, 1 goal, and 2 shots on target. Another great display from our Brazilian number 9.
Yeah, and I think the next tweet probably encapsulates that.
And there you go. Man of the match performance from Richarlison. And he must be getting a few of these now. I mean, hasn't he got a few man of the matches in the last 4 or 5 games?
Well, I thought he was our best player at Old Trafford. I thought he was our best player against City, even though we were very good. I thought he was our best player. So, look, since that Newcastle game where he scored 2 goals, he's been brilliant. Yeah.
And on the players bickering, I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the whole bravado pushing people around. If you're that brave about things, my players and their players get into a UFC cage and I'll see how brave they are.
Who are you backing in a UFC cage? Brentford versus Spurs?
Spurs, 100%. But in terms of your opinion of these kind of things, like for me, I kind of enjoy seeing all that kind of stuff on the football pitch. What's your opinion of it?
I don't mind seeing it. I just don't. Obviously, it's not good if it affects your performance. You know what I mean? I like the banter, and if MAUPAY's going to do that, and we do it back to him. I love that kind of stuff. But if we're getting into like all the bickering and it's starting to affect our game and we're losing our heads, then obviously I don't like seeing that. It's stupid. But I don't mind all the when 2 teams are going at it and they're trying to wind each other up. I love that. I
felt like it was affecting us in a negative way in the first half, but once we start to get on top in the second half. That's what I love to see, you know, us using it in a way to channel that energy.
When it's affecting your team positively, you like it. If it's not, you don't like it. That's how it works.
This is a tweet about the light show yesterday. That does look amazing, to be fair. Can we make this full screen? Like, that looks incredible.
Yeah, we actually missed the light. When was it?
It was just before we got there, I think.
Just before we got there.
Yeah.
Was the teams out? Were the teams
no,
out
they're
there?
just
No.
before they might be lining up.
You know, some people have this suggestion, which I think is a really clever suggestion. Like, why don't they make tifos out of the lights?
That would be incredible.
They have the technology, clearly. They got the technology to do it. So they can like sync it up that way. That could be possible. Now, imagine like an interactive tifo that changes and stuff.
Yeah, that would be mad.
Definitely possible.
That would be mad.
Yeah, it's quite cool though, isn't it?
Maybe they should... When all the Spurs fans are singing "I'm loving Big Ange" instead after the game, they should do something like that, like "I'm loving Big Ange" instead.
The words. That was sick.
Madders THFC says "F around and find out." Look at this.
I love that chat. Maddison was not having any of it.
Yeah,
not having any more pie. And there we go. Love it.
That was the best one with Brennan Johnson.
Absolutely love it.
Again, the same thing. Maddison's reaction to Maupay's dart celebration, he just did not enjoy it too much. He was like, yeah, well done, mate, well done. Let's see what happens the rest of the game.
Who had the last laugh? That's the main thing. We saw this clip already of Rishi.
Rishi. Next one is Ange. Tottenham created 2.86 XG against Brentford tonight, more than any side has generated against the Bees in a Premier League game this season, which just shows how well they're set up, Brentford, and how hard it is to fashion consistent chances against them.
I know they've been having a tough season. They're always difficult to play against, even in games where they're losing. It's always close. They're so well set up. So I think, to create that level of chances is always going to be very difficult, so we did very well. Lily
White Rose, another one of the light show yesterday, just looked incredible, that stadium.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, look at that. Did a good job with it.
And it's so much, obviously it goes without saying what I'm about to say, but when Spurs are in this kind of moment, we're fighting for top four, we're looking good as a football team, we're playing good football. I mean, it must be such a hard place for opposition fans to come, because we do make it a bit of a cauldron, don't we?
Yeah, and when we're on our game, when we're singing it loud, it's absolutely great.
BBC Sport saying Tottenham are making Neil Maupay and Ivan Toney pay for copying James Maddison's celebration.
Definitely right. Definitely, I think we know that.
Radu and Captain Romero yesterday, just giving themselves a little...
Radu coming on straight over to Captain Romero, giving him his instructions. Lovely stuff.
Nice one. Sonny says, words can't explain how much I love Vicario.
Yeah, look, Tony was wound up by him. I wonder what Vicario... I think Vicario... Well, someone... I know it was a joke tweet. Vicario went on to him and said he should have cashed out. Vicario has now getting a reputation, isn't he? Winding up strikers.
He's also another shithouse Vicario, to be honest.
Full of shithouses.
And
but
I saw another...
incidences.
I saw another tweet saying, which super boost did you have on tonight?
Yeah. Brilliant. I wonder what he's actually said to him. I remember any
probably said, did you have 3-2 Spurs on tonight?
Brilliant. Absolutely wound him up.
THFC report saying Destiny, Udogie and Vicario. This is the moment I was talking about before, when Vicario just comes and jumps on him. Brilliant to see.
And I saw after the game, I think Udogie felt a bit bad with some of the mistakes he made. So it was really great to see a lot of the players encouraging him, make sure he's not too down about a few mistakes he made and focus on the positives.
Yeah. Kieran Moore saying, it's a nightclub, mate. What a light show. What a result. Up the Spurs, at Spurs official. So another one of the great light show yesterday. Sophie says, this is just embarrassing, though.
Yeah, look at this dive from Collins. Unbelievable. Like, Richarlison barely touches him. And he barely touches him, and he goes down like
trying to get Richarlison sent off. What an embarrassment. Hotspur related saying Tottenham won a Premier League match today without involvements from either Heung-min Son or Harry Kane for the first time in over 5 years, from The Athletic. You said this to me after the game as we were walking out, and I was like, well, how many games have we actually played without Son and Kane in the last 5 years?
Well, none that we've won. So we've probably forgotten all of them. I don't know. Probably not that many, to be honest, but
because whenever Kane's been out, Son's always like stepped up for the team, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So there's been not many times.
There's a little period under Mourinho. We had a few games. Apart from that,
I'm sure there's one or two games here and there that we're forgetting. But...
yeah. I mean, how many? It probably must reach around 10 games, maybe 15 games at least, maybe. I would say.
Spurs Web saying, Sonny, this was what he put on Instagram yesterday, watching the game from his hotel room, it seems. And he says, at Spurs official, let's go, my team.
Come on. I love that. My team. Big up, Sonny. Good luck on Friday.
Paul O'Keefe says, not in our house. And that was Brennan Johnson Instagram message that says, not in our house.
Yeah, brilliant. So Johnson, I love that. A bit of confidence there from Brennan.
Yeah, we need to see more of that from him, to be fair. Spurs Express, Neil Maupay responds to James Maddison on Insta, and Neil Maupay after the game says, gutted we couldn't get the win. More goals and less relegations in my career than James Maddison. We go again Monday, bees.
He says went a bit early with that one.
Went a bit
early with that one. So, mate, if you're going to do that, don't do it, 20 minutes in.
That's like a last-minute celebration.
Yeah,
like a winner in the last minute or something like that.
Surely, exactly.
Another one with Richarlison, man of the match. Brilliant to see. This one's a great picture of Richarlison shushing Maupay. That was posted out by Richarlison as well on Instagram.
With the dart emoji as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant.
Next up is most goals scored by Brazilians in Europe's top 5 league this season. And Richarlison is sitting on top. And it's mad to think about because the narrative around like Vinicius Jr. is he's having a brilliant season. Rodrigo as well. But yeah, he has been injured a bit. That's fair. But I still think like whenever he's played, he's been brilliant this season for Real Madrid. Rodrigo, 7 goals. João Pedro, 7 goals. I mean, most of them have been penalties, to be fair.
Yeah, none of Richie's have been penalties.
No, none. And Richarlison sitting on the top for Brazilians in Europe.
So weird. Where's Jesus?
Where is Jesus?
So weird. That's really strange.
It's not strange at all, to be fair.
But I thought he was amazing.
He is amazing. He's amazing at doing nothing.
His goal scoring is not his strength.
Yeah, you're a striker and you come out on interview saying, yeah, goal scoring is not really my strong point. Jake says, unthinkable for me that we let Richarlison play for so long without getting his surgery. The pelvic surgery has made him way more mobile and it improved his hold-up play drastically. The way he's able to hold off defenders and interlink with those around him has been great, and I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know why it took us so long to get that sorted, and it seemed like a long-standing issue, I think Ange was saying. So really peculiar. Maybe it just goes to again and Rishi's willingness to put the team above himself, but unfortunately he was hurting the team. We all knew that, but he looks so much better for it now.
Yeah. Hotspur related have a quote from Brennan Johnson after the game, and he says, it's no secret that recently I've not been at my best. I think in certain situations I've not been in the right position, so today I made sure I had to be, and that's exactly what he did for his goal.
Yeah, and it's really good acknowledgement from him, that he hasn't been playing well, and it's good that he has that awareness that his performances haven't been good enough recently. So hopefully that's the first step of him improving.
Yeah. Tottenham tweeted out this with a brick emoji of just Mickey van der Ven. It's brilliant stuff.
Exactly.
Vicario on Instagram says, we could have started the game better, but love how we switched in the second half. Nice game of darts, guys. Come on, you Spurs.
Beat up Vicario.
David Ellis saying, these fuckers never learn.
It has actually backfired. Everyone who does it backfires. So who's next?
Bring it on.
Exactly.
Bring it on. THFC Cho says, a doggy pointing to the badge, things you'd love to see. He's fully coy, isn't he?
He loves it. Absolutely loves it. Come on.
Nathan Clark, Timo against Brentford, 80% pass succession, 1 out of 2 dribbles, 3 shots, 7 carries into the box, 5 loose ball recoveries, 3 chances created, and 1 assist. And Timo is growing into that shirt, isn't he?
He really is, and he's made such a good impact so far. And hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
Spurs Express saying Timo's impressive performance tonight will be remembered more for his 2 fantastic assists, but the countless runs he selflessly made until the very last minute helped the team immensely and shouldn't go unnoticed. This is a Timo Werner appreciation post.
Exactly, and I think he deserves it because he's such a crucial role for the team, and he's really helping us so far.
Yeah. The next one again is that Romero and Porro chest bump. Underneath is Billy T saying, no way he's 16.
Brendan Johnson, making fun of MAUPAY again. Absolutely brilliant.
Premier League points earned after the first 22 games in charge. 36 for Klopp at Liverpool, 39 for Arteta at Arsenal, 43 for Pep at Man City, which is equal to Ange at Tottenham.
What a start.
It's mad to think about that. Like, from where we were last season, finishing 8th in the league, it looked like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And suddenly, he's on par with Pep Guardiola's start at Man City.
This is the Ange era, that's what I'm saying.
The Ange era.
The Ange era is starting.
Alex THFC saying, what a bloke, Richarlison, doing his own celebration, then reverting into the James Maddison celebration, things you'd love to see.
Yeah, a lot of darts in this reacts.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant stuff.
We definitely hit that 180 yesterday, but Alfie, again, just showing that MAUPAY and James Maddison thing.
I think we've seen the other ones as well. I think that's it.
Yeah, that is it for the way Twitter all reacted to the game yesterday. But I think that's all we've got time for today. So a nice long stream for you guys to bite your teeth into. Spurs got back to winning ways yesterday with a 3-2 win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Next up is Everton 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, which is going to be a very tough game. We thought that one was tough. We've got another tough game coming up against a Sean Dyche Everton this weekend. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.